If you like this channel and what I do here, please help to support my work by checking out one of my books, available from Lulu Publishing and Amazon.com. Thank you. Hiya folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, and I'm joined by Dan Ryan. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. Back for some more Star Trek.
Yeah, we're not doing rewatchables. We're doing a review. Star Trek Lower Decks, first episode
of the epic 23 weeks of Star Trek.
Yes, we should be prepared.
And blessed.
Strapped in, ready to go. Seatbelts on the captain's chair and all that. We both saw the trailer when that came out. And obviously a lot of people on YouTube have made videos about it. We didn't. I really didn't know whether I wanted to watch this or not. I thought, let's just, first one, let's just see what we thought. So anyway, half an hour. First animated Star Trek series since Star Trek the Animated Series during the 1970s, so this is the second one. Animated series from the 70s is a very beloved series. A lot of meh episodes in it, but some great episodes as well, like Yesteryear, which are about Spock when he meets Spock, meets himself, goes to the Guardian, never meets himself as a youth, but brilliant stories like that. This was interesting for me because when they said that it was going to be a comedy series, I mean, animation doesn't necessarily have to be comedy, does it?
A lot of it is.
Yeah. Interesting for you though, because the guy, and I was surprised by this because I thought Alex Kurtzman would be involved in actually creating it. Apparently he isn't. He's just an executive producer of it. That's one of the things that does put me off anything Star Trek at the moment, because his grubby mitts and his gang are all over it. But this was created by is it Mike Mahan? McMahon or so, who created Rick and Morty. And although I've only seen bits of it, I mean, you're a big fan of.
I've seen it all quite a few times.
So you'll probably be able to say more about this than me. I've only ever watched bits and pieces. I have laughed at Rick and Morty. There have been things that it's not something I would go out of my way to watch, but there have been times when I've seen bits and pieces of it, and there's things that I've laughed at and that. So I know it can be funny, and I can appreciate that that kind of humour does appeal to some people. So do you? Let's start initially. Just setting the stage for what this series is. Basically, it's a ship that the USS Cerritos, is it?
Yeah,
it was pronounced.
And on the wiki it says it's one of the least important ships in the fleet as well.
Right. Second Contact, which is the name of the episode as well, apparently. They go do like the clean-up contact after the big ships have been in there and done First Contact. Set in the 24th century, set after Next Generation. I'm assuming it's set after Deep Space Nine and Voyager as well, but it precedes Picard. So these are like the... although we do see the captain and the first officer and the doctor, and the central four characters are the Lower Decks characters.
I appreciate the fact that they did something like that anyway.
Although hardly original, because Next Generation did an episode called Lower Decks, which was about 4 low-ranking ensigns, and Voyager did an episode called Good Shepherd as well. But sorry, go on.
You appreciate the fact that they're exploring that still.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
But I'm really struggling to get because there's not really a great deal that's going on with this episode, is there? They go to a planet, that they're carrying out their Second Contact mission, and then really it's just about we have the list of the name. Was it Beckett Mariner? The main character, the girl, who's like she's on speed all the time. She's just a crazed maniac.
Slightly excruciating.
Slightly. How in the name of sanity she ever got through Starfleet Academy and ended up. We assume in this episode that the captain is her mom.
Yeah, it said that at the end.
Yeah, and
but it also
even
said
got a
that,
different surname.
It said that she used to be an officer as well, and she was
Yeah.
demoted. So I can see why.
She's constantly trashing Starfleet, the Federation. She hates it.
What does she just
Why
leave?
is she even? Yeah,
Just
leave the
leave.
ship. You know, I mean, she clearly gets a kick out of going places and doing crazy things and that. So maybe that's why. But in every iteration of Star Trek I've ever seen, pre-2005, let's say, or even Abrams' first film, 2009. Generally, people who are in Starfleet are dedicated to, to exploring. They take the job seriously. Yeah, they have a bit of fun and muck around and do, various things and that. But by and large, they're not just constantly prattling around, are they? Like everything of what we saw in that half-hour episode. She doesn't seem to take anything seriously.
It set up a very unusual hierarchy, which isn't really ever shown, and it never sees to be there except in this show.
Yeah, and one of the things that we had a good laugh about afterwards, where you were just reading some stuff on the internet, was about the commander guy. I have to keep referring to Jack Ransom, the commander of the ship, first officer, and you'd read it out. And I think it was Wikipedia, so that says it all, because Wikipedia, and he said the model of.
No, it said comparable to Commander William Riker.
How? I mean, he's an imbecile. How he ever got to be first officer of the ship? He's
It's just some frat boy.
Yeah. To compare him to Riker, he's got a beard and big build, and he's a first officer.
That's right.
That's it. That's comparable.
Yeah.
Not if that even. Yeah. I mean. Words fail me, they really, really do. I like, I would love the day to come where I could sit down and watch something Star Trek new and really enjoy it. I love Star Trek, it's, pre-2005 anyway. It's always been a big part of my life, and I appreciate it when it's it's not what it was anyway. But I really want to. Every time when I sat down for Picard, I wanted to enjoy it. I wanted to like it. I tried not to get my hopes up too much, because the problem with all of this is Alex Kurtzman and the JJ Brigade type people and his people that are. You said it actually. What just for our viewers, tell them what you said about their attitude towards Star Trek.
I think that the other YouTubers have probably said this by now. I can't remember who it was. It was someone like Critical Drinker or something like that on Twitter.
Yeah, great channel, by the way.
Yeah, said that it's basically made by people who hate Star Trek for people who hate Star Trek.
Yeah. And again, we saw this in. We're going to see it literally play out in Discovery Season 3. We saw it in Star Trek Picard. This attitude of. The hierarchy of a ship is just doesn't mean anything. It's not important. Clearly, that's what that. And also characters who seem to loathe the Federation, seem to loathe Starfleet. It's the way ships function and all that kind of.
It's they've just joined. They're low rank. Leave if you hate this so much. Just leave.
And everybody on the ship. I appreciate the fact that it's comedy, but I'm going to point out some, because we were discussing about the Orville. I'll come to that in a second. But and clearly, the people working on this show wanted to try and lap up some of the so. I'm not even sure whether there's people on the show. I imagine it was some higher ups at CBS have said, let's get some of that sweet Orville audience, and get some of the old. It's not going to happen. It won't happen.
I think the only audience this might pull is Rick and Morty, maybe.
But even you said that. I mean, let's point out first of all that, and it wasn't that we were trying not to. Neither of us laughed.
No.
Not once. I didn't even feel one brewing or anything like that.
I laughed at your reaction to something that was said.
That
was the closest. That was the closest.
We'll come to that. Yeah.
But that was my basic. I didn't even care if it trashed Star Trek lore or whatever. I just wanted.
I do, but it's still not.
I wanted it to be funny.
Yeah.
That my expectation was just for it to be funny.
I would have forgiven it a little bit if it did make me laugh.
I cringed a lot of times. I physically cringed quite a few times.
Give me honour when she's got the bat and she slices through his leg. I mean, a nutcase like that would not be serving in Starfleet on a starship. Any starship, even the lower, lesser.
I mean, she's just walking around all the time drinking illegal alcohol.
Yeah.
with just carrying weapons around, attacking the crew.
Yeah, and just totally disregarding protocol of the ship and giving things away to the natives on the planet.
Yeah.
And then throwing her fellow officer into the mouth of a giant spider and then letting it suck on it for... And then, and another thing as well, I mean, that's something that happens in the story, is the gunk that's all over him. For the life of me, I couldn't help but think about green titty milk from The Last Jedi. You know, it's I couldn't. I think, is there something here? Because they kept talking about the milk. Can I have some of that milk? Can I have some of that animal milk?
Yeah.
You know, and I kept thinking about that. You know, Luke with his green milk, blue milk, or whatever it was. Green milk, wasn't it? So they go back on board, and the gunk that's all over him from the spider cures this. Because that was another part of the plot. Was
they were all zombies, basically.
Because the commander, who's comparable to with Commander Riker, got this plague thing in his neck, and then infected the entire crew, and they all just, you know, where were the biofilters, by the way, and the transporters that screen these things? And you know, obviously it's cheap ship, so they don't have them, you know, so
they brought it off Wish.
Yeah.
and the crew recruitment was off Craigslist.
Oh dear me. Yeah. I mean, in every iteration of Star Trek, you know, if a crew member was getting pissed and stabbing people with battlers and running around singing stupid tunes about "Give me honor," and all this kind of thing, and of course we saw in the trailer the cringeworthy Blast Shield, Blast Shield, and all that, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know,
we've got that to come.
Yeah, we've got that one to come. It wasn't in this one. These kind of officers, they would not, you know. Janeway would have kicked them off the ship. You know, even though they were lost in the Delta Quadrant on the way home, she just forget the bridge, just find an M-class planet and just chuck them off. This crew member is more trouble. I mean, she did in Good Shepherd. She took 3 underappreciated, overlooked characters, took them under her wing, as in the Good Shepherd, and took them on a mission, and you know, to get to know these neglected crew members that she'd sort of got lost through the cracks. You know, make them feel part of the crew again, and that. Janeway would give Mariner just give her up as a bad job. Space her. Get off my ship, as Janeway would say. Mr. Tuvok, escort this woman.
She's basically like a traitor at this point. She's going around like trying to kill everyone.
Yeah, and I know the naysayers out there will say, well, it's a comedy, it's not really, you know, Well, the Orville's done it, but the thing with the Orville is, and you know, the crew on the Orville, my God, I mean, they prat around, they do stupid things. The practical joke with the leg with not Bortus. I'm forgetting my characters now. I've recently just watched them as well. Anyway, you know, I mean, there's the cigarette thing with Bortus and that, and all these loads of gag stuff going on in various different episodes and stuff like that. But they're all consummate professionals. They're all really, really good at their job. You know, excellent pilot, excellent chief engineer, you know, chief of security, doctor, you know, science officer, captain, first officer. They're all, you know. They're like, but it's not set in the Star Trek universe anyway. That isn't, even though it appeals to Star Trek fans. But even so, Seth MacFarlane knows enough about Star Trek to know that you, irrespective of these characters' traits, personalities, they've still got to be really good at what they do. And these characters, principally, it's Mariner, isn't it? That's the issue.
Yeah.
And I think, given that they're trying to do the whole diversity and inclusion thing in character, they're doing you know, you get your identity politics right, you know, for heaven's sake, because you know, that's doing a disservice to that, you know, black representation there as the main character, and they're making her out as some kind of imbecile. You know?
But she's an idiot, and she's like really like bad at her job and everything. But then she's also good at everything. Because she's saying she's good at everything. She knows all this stuff and that.
Yeah.
But But
I'm
that's
trying to say, well, why would you bother with that? With the bridge crap and all this kind of thing.
But that's
crap. You know?
That's like Rick from Rick and Morty. Stuff like
you said that.
Yeah.
And if that is the appeal, if that's what they're going for, then so be it. But fundamentally, you've got the major problem is it's set in the Star Trek universe. That's the That's the crux of the problem with this. If it wasn't set in the Star Trek universe, I don't think people would have as many problems with this.
I think it'd just...
Although they still wouldn't find it...
It'd just disappear, I think, because it's just... I wasn't even close to laughing.
And as you pointed out, it kind of speaks for itself why it hasn't got an international distributor. Yeah.
But like the thing I was saying to you just before we did this is a lot of the characters feel like they're Rick and Morty characters. Well, they're trying to be.
Yeah. So you describe some of them.
Marina's just Rick. Basically, she thinks like she's too smart for like the bridge, and they're kind of like they're like below her. She doesn't need that sort of thing, just like Rick.
Yeah.
Was it Boimler?
Boimler?
Just
watched it as well. So that shows how memorable the characters are.
Boimler's like Morty. It's just kind of like a bit thick. Mm-hmm. Has these like a few basic things that he focuses on, and that's it. But basically, Mariner.
They're that memorable.
Mariner's like teaching him. Well, at the end, she's like, "I'll be your mentor."
Yeah.
Kind of like a moment that happens in Rick and Morty as well. And then you've got Green Girl.
Tendi, Devana Tendi.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's Orion.
Green Girl. She's a bit like Summer from Rick and Morty, kind of. And Cyborg guy.
I'm being very racist there actually, because I said I assume she's an Orion because she's green.
Yeah.
You should not assume anything about people singular in space, should you?
No.
Well, given that every green-skinned character I've ever seen in the Star Trek universe has been an Orion, I'm assuming that she is Orion. But anyway, go on.
And then Sam Rutherford's kind of like their dad in Rick and Morty.
Right.
He's like really interested in extremely boring things.
Right.
Like
because
when they're on that date and the door, that sort of thing. And
the level diagnosis and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's what I took for it. Maybe I'm just reaching for things, but that's the impression that I got from it. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I really thought that Alex Kurtzman winging this with me. I mean, I'm assuming that he had a lot more involvement in it than just being an executive producer, because it has all those traits of this total fixation with they've got is tokenistic diversity inclusion that they don't. Star Trek has always known how to do it really, really well.
Well, he said recently it's just a political platform now.
He says Star Trek is a political platform now. Yeah, it is just a platform. Yeah, it's not even it's not a franchise. It's not a mythology. It's not something. It's
not even entertainment anymore. It's just
it's just a platform. Yeah. So there aren't many things in the episode that stuck out to me, but there were a few. Star Wars apparently is canon in the Star Trek universe now, because there was a line at the beginning, wasn't it? We kind of just looked at each other and rolled our eyes. It was in the holodeck and what's her name? Devana Tendi.
Yeah.
It's like this sand and what's this? What does it do and all that and then Mariner and Boimler and that say it's sand and it gets everywhere. And yet clearly they were making a joke about that Attack of the Clones with Anakin and Padme.
We can't blame them. It's a horrific line.
But it's interesting because in Enterprise they had movie nights and they watched films and things like that. But they were obviously films that were in the Paramount and CBS back catalogue because they couldn't show. I know there were a few other mentions of things, but history is history in Star Trek. Although very different because apparently we had the eugenics wars in the 1990s, which never happened in the real world, and then there was a nuclear World War III in the mid 21st century. So if Star Trek is anything to go by, we've got that one to look forward to.
Can't be much worse than this year's been anyway.
Yeah. exceedingly just as fake as the fake World War III. Anybody who knows what they're talking about will know what I'm getting at there with that one. But anyway, I digress. So Star Wars, somebody must have, they must have watched it, unless it was just a fan thing. So yeah. And another thing, and we said this when we did the Star Trek Picard videos as well, is one of my big bugbears, comedy or not, or serious drama or whatever, right, is these characters in the 24th century and that, or whatever, using 20th and 21st century slang, mannerisms, terminology, all that kind of thing. It's like everybody does it now. They're all effing and blinding all over the place. They're all using these, home by and all this kind of thing, it just never happened in all Star Trek.
That didn't really bother me in this talk. It just seemed like a spin-off.
Yeah, and I kind of forgive it more because it's comedy.
Yeah,
because
it's a spin-off.
But I still find it annoying because it's that chipping away at Star Trek all the time. It's chipping away at it. So they're undermining what it means to be part of the Federation of Starfleet. They're undermining how easy any Fruit Loop can get on a starship and all this kind of thing, missions and that. But they're also undermining the mythology of the Star Trek universe, where humanity has evolved to a place where they don't really feel the need to swear at each other constantly, or knife each other with a bat'leth, or get pissed. When you see people drinking, people do get pissed. Bashir and O'Brien get pissed and sing Jerusalem and all that in their quarters in an episode of Deep Space Nine. It's great, great laugh it is. So, but it's not like they get in like out on the town, on a Friday night level of piss. Like I'm going to pick a fight with somebody. Get me on over the bat'leth and all this. It's just crazy levels. So it's like humanity has gone beyond that now, and taking the piss out of each other as well. Yeah, that's something that just does not exist in Star Trek really anymore. They're ribbing each other, but this is openly really just.
Formula just exists to be laughed at.
Yeah, she smacks him in the forehead at one point, don't she? She smacks him across the forehead.
She stabs him in the leg.
Yeah. She does all sorts to him. Yeah. So And I also I couldn't help but think maybe they were trying to be the Orville as well.
I think
latch onto that.
A mix of both.
It's a mix of
Rick and Morty and the Orville.
If that's what they're trying to do, then they've completely missed the point with the Orville. Definitely with the Orville, they've missed the point completely, because the Orville, although it's got its comedy and it's got some hilarious stuff in it, and it actually has got hilarious things in it. The Orville, you can really laugh at things. Got some great stories as well, though. And I'd never got the feeling of either with this. I didn't laugh. And I didn't think the story was that interesting or engaging. Certainly the characters weren't particularly memorable.
Not really, no.
So really, the only other thing was I noticed in the last 20 seconds or so, how I wrote down here, how many films and episodes of Star Trek can you reference in the last 20 seconds of an episode? Kirk, Spock, Mr. Worf, Sulu, and all this kind of thing. It's like, well, we own the Star Trek universe now, so we can reference everything we want, Yeah. And it's past glories. It's like playing on past glories. Do something original, Make your own characters iconic, rather than leeching off all these memorable characters and the way they've destroyed them as well.
Because this won't get a second season. Well, unless it just had a bad pilot. It could, the other episode could be good, and it could get a second season or whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know whether I'm going to be watching the rest of them and reviewing them or not, but...
I don't know where... I'm mildly curious to see.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It doesn't really, it hasn't got me in the thought, I'll want to go back and watch another one.
I think if they were full-length episodes, I definitely wouldn't even consider it.
It would be hard going, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I think maybe I didn't enjoy this one, but I tend to give shows a couple of maybe 3 episodes.
One of the things that it has got going for it, and I will give them some credit. I am a sucker for the 24th century period of Star Trek.
Yeah. I
like the Kirk era, the 23rd century, but but I am a sucker for Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager era of Star Trek. It's one of many issues I have with Discovery, that it's not set in that era. It's one of many issues I had with Enterprise, but nowhere near as many as Discovery, obviously. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of prequels. Once it's done, move forward into the future. But then again, it's also one of the many problems I have with Picard, because it just did not feel like it was set in that time frame, although it was 20 years down the line or whatever. So that's one thing it has got going for it. It's in that plum era of Star Trek that I really enjoy watching. But the characters and the ship, I wish these characters were more, it was about the first officer, the commander, kind of thing. I would probably be more inclined to watch it then. The actual crew, the actual proper crew.
I suppose if you look at the way they're slowly going, they're getting closer to how Star Trek normally is. Like, if this is a stepping stone to that, then I can't remember what it's going to be called, that new show, the
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
I don't know whether that's just
could be closer.
It's still got the issue for me of being set back in a time where I'm less interested in, I wanted to move forward and see the future.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Discovery's doing that, and then that's purely being done just to destroy the future and remake the Federation as in the JJ Brigade's platform. Not what Star Trek used to be. So, yeah. One other little thing was the thing that got us the laugh at the end was Boimler saying to Mariner, after all that she's done in that episode and everything,
the torture that she's
he pats her on the back, doesn't he, sort of thing, or on the shoulders, and he says, "Starfleet is better for you being in it." My God, I'm like, oh God.
Well, it's got a laugh. I guess it got a laugh.
From what I said, and rolling of the eyes. I mean, again, it's everything that is wrong with Star Trek today. Equality is the word that's missing in all of this. Equal. Men, women, white, black, whatever, right? Straight, LGBT, whatever. Across the board with everything, equal, on equal footing across the board. Nobody is superior to anybody else. And yes, you have captains who are superior and admirals and blah 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 and all this kind of thing. But that girl, they've held her up as their token. She's female. Well, I say girl. She's a woman. She's female, right? She's the lead character of the series. That's the way they put her across. She's also black, right? Yet they're making her out as an imbecile. That she's absolutely doesn't give a shit about doing anything and that kind of thing. Putting people's lives in danger all the time. You know what I'm saying? And how can that be? And she's putting down all the other characters and all this kind. How can any of this be? A good representation of a platform. It's like these people just do not know what to do they don't know they don't know how to do it properly. And that just shows to me that it's just jingoistic, tokenistic, that it doesn't come from a place of them really, really meaning it. Which is insulting.
Maybe they do have good intentions, but
I don't.
Well, in terms of like inclusion and everything, they just don't really know how to do it. They're like, okay, we need a person of colour, and they're like, we don't know what to do. We've got them now, but we don't know what to do with them.
I think they're just riding a bandwagon. Personally, I really do think they're riding a bandwagon that they're currently on. It's currently a trend, and it's superficial and insincere. And there are ways of doing it very sincerely, and non-superficially. But they just don't seem to care enough to do it. It's just like, how quickly can we do this and just make it look like we're doing the right thing. They don't really mean it. Star Trek has done it in so much better ways in the past. It's certainly not been. I don't feel like it's been doing it with Lower Decks. It's a shame. It's a missed opportunity. Every time I see. Cisco is a good example of a black character, single dad, great representation. And then his family there, he starts with Jennifer, obviously she passed away, but Jennifer comes back in the Mirror Universe. And then, of course, Cassidy Yates comes along and eventually he marries her and has a child with her. I'm spoiling you from the Deep Space Nine because you haven't seen the end of Deep Space Nine yet. And great, that is, you couldn't get more, it's a fantastic, bit of representation. I do. There are, generally I hold Sisko up as being my favourite Starfleet captain in the Star Trek shows. There are days when I think Picard maybe, and there are days when I think Kirk, but pretty consistently it's Sisko.
I think
and they missed an opportunity here with Mariner, because they could have had a great black female lead character. The same as they could have done it with Michael Burnham in Discovery.
the thing that pains me with that is I've seen her in The Walking Dead. She's really good in The Walking Dead. She's not like a Mary Sue or anything in The Walking Dead. Like she literally like goes out. She dies in The Walking Dead because of her character flaws.
Right.
Like her thinking like, oh, I can do this on my own, sort of thing.
Right.
Gets her killed.
I never got that far in The Walking Dead to when she was in the series. So.
But she's a good. It's sad to see that her reduced to a character like this.
But I agree with you. I know of things that she's done. I have seen bits and pieces of it and that. So yeah, it really is a shame. So I think really that's it. But to say Starfleet is better for you being in it, again, it's tokenistic. It's like, I wouldn't want to serve on that ship. I'd be frightened. I'd be fearing for my life. I'd get off at the next planet. Fuck that! I'd stay on that ship. I'd be dead in a week.
See, the thing, that wasn't even the line that got me to cringe the most. Well, all of that date between the cyborg and whatever her name is, whatever she was.
Sam Rutherford, the cyborg guy.
And whatever rankle, whatever
she was a Trill, wasn't she? She got spots on her face, but I can't remember her character's name yet.
Yeah, that entire date was just really bad.
Yeah.
But the bit when, what was it they said in space? That
he asked her what music she liked. And he said, a classical music, and a band called the Monkees.
And then he's like, because I'm a believer.
I'm a believer.
And I was like,
It's obviously one of the most well-known songs of Monkees, but,
It's like,
And again, it's one of those things, contemporary, I don't really recall, I might be wrong in thinking this, I know it was used a bit in JJ and all that, but going back before that, I don't ever remember anybody on Kirk's ship, or Picard's Enterprise, or Archer's Enterprise, or Deep Space Nine or Voyager with Janeway, and Defiant with Sisko and him, ever. I mean, you had characters that were interested in, Picard had an interest in archaeology and history, sort of 18th, 19th century and stuff like that. Tom Paris in Voyager has an interest in 19th century and 20th century pop culture and all that kind of thing. But I don't remember anybody ever saying, I like Pink Floyd, I like the Beatles, I like The Who, I like Queen, David Bowie, Bob Marley, all this kind of, any iconic figures of music or whatever. Those are just examples I'm putting off my head. But all of a sudden,
I think this could also be just from, like, the guy who makes Rick and Morty.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Doesn't know. He might have just been hired to write a Star Trek comedy like Rick and Morty.
Do you know... I mean, you know more about the guy than I don't. I should have done my research on this to find out, but, do you know if he is a Star Trek fan?
I do not know.
You don't know?
That's what I was going to say. He might not be. And they might have just said...
having watched Rick and Morty, has there ever been any references to or in jokes about Star Trek? Because I know, like, say, for example, Futurama. Matt Groening and all that kind of... They had loads of references to Star Trek in it. And
there might be, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I mean, like, Family Guy's got loads of Star Trek and Star Wars references in it, so... But the Seventh Islands are fans, so that's why I'm asking whether, well, I'll have to look into that. I mean, if anybody watching this video wants to drop something in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. Let us know if you do know that. So... I'm trying to play devil's advocate on this. I don't want to, really, because I hate what they are doing to Star Trek. I hate the fact that they don't really appreciate or understand or like Star Trek, and they certainly loathe the fans of the 50 plus years of Star Trek fans. They just want their little blue check mark on Twitter fans that today, that's what they want, really. What's politically convenient for them these days, for their platform. But it's certainly not going to make them any profit, and it's not going to give them any massive viewing figures and whatnot. So with that, really, all we can say is watch this space, I suppose. I mean, literally watch space. Anything you wanted to say about it? Or I'm pretty much there with my notes.
Pretty much covered it,
yeah. Do you want to rate it out of 10? We have done with everything else. I mean, I don't really know what to say.
I don't either. Really. No. I think it'd be low. It'd be like a 2. or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny. It wasn't enjoyable. Most of the characters were annoying.
For all of the things that it does to Star Trek that I hate nowadays, I perhaps wouldn't have minded so much even if I could have laughed at it.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy having a good giggle at something, you know.
Yeah.
I've got, you know, but no. I was waiting for it. Never happened.
No.
And it wasn't like I was trying to stifle a laugh or anything.
Yeah.
I just never felt it. Never felt anything.
I wasn't close.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a difficult one. Yeah. 2 maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on it. You know. 3 maybe. 2, 3. I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, I don't know. Where Star Trek is today. How do you even? Yeah. So I think we'll leave it there for now. I'm not going to promise we will be back for any more episode videos.
Maybe
watch this space. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, maybe watch another 1 or 2 and just see.
Yeah.
And if we feel like it's worth doing a video on it, we will.
Yeah.
If not, you know. But we'll leave it there for now. And yeah. So with that, I'll say thank you very much for joining us, Dan. And thank you to all of you for watching. If you would like to subscribe to the channel or like this video or share it about or drop some comments in, I would truly appreciate that. It would be great. And once again, thank you for watching and we'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.
Take care.